And so again, this is my, I want to say ambrosia again, brioche. Oh my goodness, I don't know why brioche and ambrosia cross in my mind. Well, hello and welcome to Michelle's Fiber Studio podcast. My name is Michelle and I am your host. This is episode number 10, I do believe. Yeah, it's episode number 10. Today is Saturday, June 15th, and it is a gorgeous sunny day. Nice high 60s. I think it's going to get to about 72. So it's a perfect summer day. Or we're not. I guess technically we're not meteorological summer, but definitely one of the days that we like here in Maine. The breeze is nice. I do have the windows open next to me, so if you hear any road noise, I apologize. I have a finished object to share with you and some updates on some projects. But before I do that, let's talk about what Marta's wearing. Marta has what I affectionately refer to as my birthstone shawl. The actual name of the pattern is Color Affection by Veera, Valimaki, I do believe. It was a pattern that was popular back, probably close to 10 years ago now, because I knit this one, started it in September of 2015, and it took me a little over a year, finished it in January of 2017. So yeah, probably closing in on 10 years when this pattern was really, motorcycle. Told you it was a really nice sunny day. The motorcyclists are loving it. Anyway, I digress. Color Affection was really popular about 10 years ago, and I got on the Color Affection bandwagon. The reason that I call it my birthstone shawl is because I did it in the 3 colors that represent the birthstones of my 3 children. So the yarn that I used is Knit Picks Gloss Fingering, and I did it in velveteen, masala, and cranberry. So the velveteen is the pink up here. You can just see a little teeny peek of it. But that represents Alexandrite or pearl, I guess, is the birthstone anyway for June, which is the birth month of my oldest. Masala is the topaz here, which represents November for my daughter, and then cranberry is the last color. My youngest son was born in July. So this is a project, this shawl rather, is one that I actually take to school with me and lives at school for the school year, so that way if I end up extra cold or whatever, I need an extra layer on, then I have something with me all the time. So that being that the last day of school was this week, I do bring it home with me over the summer so that nothing will happen to it. And as I was unpacking, I decided that that's what Marta would wear for this week's podcast. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. I have a finished object this week. I finished my Feel the Breeze. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. You're not going to really be able to fully appreciate the scope of this project. I can pop in a picture. Oh, this isn't too bad, this angle here of the colors, but I can pop a picture in of what it looked like on my blocking board. Oh my goodness, so cool. I finished this, Tuesday or Wednesday. It was Wednesday, because I did it in our power outage, which I'll get to later. As it was getting dark, I was binding off the last stitches, but had no power, couldn't do anything else. So here, I can even put it on for a quick second. Oh yeah. This is going to be so much fun. I was really a little worried that it was going to be too close to my Joy in the Morning shawl that I did last fall, because it's a kit from Miss Babs, just like that one was. But it's just different enough, and I love this yellow. It really adds such a great pop. And the contrast of these colors with this main color is incredible. So anyway, yes, I'm gushing, aren't I? I really like it. So let's take a look at the yarn. I've got my labels here, and then once I'm done, I will toss them. But the main color yarn here is Miss Babs. It's Yummy 2 plies. Yeah, it's going the right direction in Tempo. And that's what I have left here. I weighed it, and I don't remember how much this weighed. No, I really have no idea. 30 grams, maybe? I have it written down somewhere, but that's what I had left of, and it was a full skein, full 100 gram skein. And then the rest of the yarn was the Porto Gradient set, and it came in the 5 different colors. 5 colors? 6 colors. 6 colors. So let's see if I can array them out here in the different. So I had, let's see, the first one, I don't think I ever told you guys the names of the colors that came in this kit, did I? Because they are Miss Babs colors. So Cordovan was the darkest purple, and that's what I have left of that one. The next color was Bougainvillea. You guys tell me how to pronounce that. And that's how much I have left of that one. The next color is Zinfandel. That's the brightest of the pinks, this one here. And I got this much. Are you guys noticing how the balls are getting a little bit smaller? How fun is that? Oh no, wait a minute. This is Zinfandel. This was the Bougainvillea. See the 2 different colors. There we go. After that is Honey Amber. That's that little ball. And then I have Seafoam. And then finally, the last one is Sargasso. And it's this little teeny ball. Obviously, it was the last color, so it was the one that I used the most of because it grew as I did my repeats. It grew across. So, so much fun. I really, really enjoyed this project. It took me a little while to it kind of got set aside for something different that I got really excited about. But I'm really happy to have this one off the needles, especially given that we are going on vacation. And it's not something that I was planning to bring with me, even if I hadn't finished it, but knowing that I can start something fresh and new, which I 100% plan to do, actually have already done, means that I won't have it lingering and needing to finish it up when I get back. So that is what I have on my blocking board for this week. Let's take a look now in my project bag. I think I will start with my Ameyo. Yes, I'm still wearing my Feel the Breeze. I took my Ameyo out, I think, for the first time yesterday, actually. I didn't really touch it up until then. But yesterday was my first day of summer vacation. And so this got a little bit of love and attention. And you can see I got some done. Not too bad, really, right? For 1 day's worth of work. I think it's like 6 rows, something like that. And so again, this is my I want to say ambrosia again. Brioche. Oh my goodness. I don't know why brioche and ambrosia cross in my mind, but this is my brioche shawl. So here is, I guess one would call the right side. Get that nice and close for you. And then the other side, because brioche makes for reversible projects. So that is the mohair side, where the mohair takes center stage. And my yarns, again, are from Haute Knit Yarns. And this is the Jimmy Sock, that's Haute Knit, in Summer Clover. And then the mohair is also from Haute Knit Yarns. Oops, it's getting a little squishy in there. And it is 38. It's their Abigail mohair. So this is a project I am absolutely bringing with me when we head out on vacation. I think we've got a 6.5 hour bus ride to New York City. I think it's going to be a really, really good bus project. I really plan on getting a good chunk of this done, well, as much as I can, working on this quite a bit tomorrow while I'm on the bus. So that, hopefully, we'll have some really good progress to share with you next week. I am a third of the way through section 3. I think there's 30 rows, and I'm actually not quite a third of the way because I think I'm only on row 7 or 8. It's a 10-row repeat that you do 3 times. So that's where I'm at, but that is my Ameyo. The next project I think I will talk about is my Clarkei? I still don't know how to say that. Clarkei. I'm going with Clarkei. This is my summer top, and it is by Ameyo Designs. So I started this yesterday, and look at all that I got done. Oops, I'm all tangled up. There we go. Look at what I all got done. I just literally, right before I started podcasting, finished the yoke and then split off. So the stitches that are on a holder here are the front, and then these are the back stitches down here. Actually, let me take my Feel the Breeze off and I can pop it on. Let's see how it's going. Then I got some stories for you. All right, so this is the front, this is the back. I have my little stitch marker on here, but it's really just there so that I make sure I have one to put on when I'm ready for it, because I started it and all of it was done. Ooh, yeah, I think that's gonna work pretty good. What do you think? I know it's hard to tell with just this little bit, huh? All right, let's get it off. So this took until yesterday to get started. As you recall last week, hopefully, I showed you my swatch, my baby swatch, which was literally a baby swatch. I was trying to cheat. And when I had full plans last Sunday to sit down and cast this on and get started, and when I figured out my gauge was coming out, I think, to 18, with a washed gauge, to 18 stitches over 4 inches. And the pattern gauge is 22 stitches over 4 inches. And when I did the calculations, if I knit the smallest size at my gauge, I was gonna end up with a product, a top, that had about 6 or 7 inches of ease. And the pattern is only supposed to be like 2 to 4 inches of ease. So it was gonna be quite a bit bigger. So I'm like, okay, no problem. I will just maybe see how I can make some adjustments and change my cast on and all of that. And I started looking at it, and it was really making my head hurt because there's a lot of different numbers that go into this pattern. And so I'm like, okay, I can't think. And I set it aside. And then the next day I was driving to work, and I said, you know what I think I need to do is just start it and see what happens. And then I thought about it some more. I said, well, the other thing I could do is I could swatch with the next size down. So my baby swatch that I had done, I initially swatched with size 4, and then the other half of the swatch was size 3. And they were both loose enough that I decided to try swatching with size 2. So that's what I did. I have my swatch here. So I did that, I think, on Wednesday when I got home from work. Is this my, nope, that's my original swatch. Here we go. So I did a bigger swatch, so that way I would have, I'm still doing a faker swatch where you knit across and then you slide your stitches over and bring your yarn around and then knit across again. Because this is mostly, although I am split for the front and the back, which are going to be done back and forth, eventually it's going to get joined and worked in the round. So I opted to do my swatch in the round. So I did a bigger swatch on size 2 and then blocked it. And this came out to a blocked gauge of about 20, maybe 20 and a half stitches. So when I calculated the pattern based on that gauge, I was realizing that the smallest written size probably was going to work out just about right. So I felt good enough to start the project on that, doing the smallest size, and then we'll see where we land. And if I have to rip it back or to make some adjustments, I will. But I think that's going to work. So let me talk about the yarn. I kind of dove into my story before I spoke about the yarn. So this is Southwest Trading Company bamboo. This is yarn that is positively ancient that I have had in my stash since, did I write it down? February of 2008. I did a whole project with it, didn't like how it came out, and then ripped it out. So I don't even know if they're making this or not. As it's AZU, I bet it's supposed to be Azul, because that would be Spanish for light blue or green. But it might be short for that. Anyway, so this is a DK weight bamboo, and I'm pretty excited to see where this takes me. This is not a project I am planning to take with me on vacation. So there won't be probably a whole lot of additional work done by the time I podcast next week. I might work on it some more today before we leave if I have a chance. This will probably be something I pull out, maybe bring with me to my mother-in-law's tonight when we visit. But other than that, it is going to stay here. And we leave tomorrow morning at 6:30, and we don't get home until Saturday night around, well, we'll probably get back to the house around 9 o'clock. So for all intents and purposes, we're gone for the full week. So I won't be able to put a whole lot more on that. One more thing I want to talk about as I am working on the pattern. This is a free pattern, and it's clearly not tech edited. It is a free pattern. So I guess a word to the wise, when you're knitting with free patterns, you just need to be aware that most of the time they aren't tech edited. They don't want to pay for, I would imagine, a tech editor if they're not going to get a monetary value on the sale of the pattern. And it does show. I have been knitting for 30 years, and I have done a significant amount of knitting. I'm very, very confident in my knitting, and there have already been a couple of spots, besides typos and things, there were a couple of spots where I think the actual wrong numbers were given, and I made an adjustment based on what was in front of me or what the end result was supposed to be, as opposed to the numbers that were actually listed in the pattern. So I would say use this pattern with caution, especially if you're not a confident knitter. It might be one that you're going to want to take a pass on and find something. When you get a paid for pattern, it might feel like you're spending a lot of money, but you are paying not only for the designer's time and effort in creating and designing and writing the pattern, but also in them taking the time and money to have it tech edited, as well as putting it out for testers oftentimes in addition to test the pattern. So I don't know, I'm only surmising based on the fact that this is a free pattern that this was only the designer who put any effort and time into the pattern, which is not negated for certainly. But it is one thing to be mindful of when you are selecting a pattern. So at any rate, that is Clarkei. It is by Marie Amelie Designs, and we will see where this takes me. So next project I will pull out, I think I'll talk about, oh, it fell down. Here we go. Talk about my Musselburgh for the last time, more than likely, until school starts again, because as I have said before, this is my school project. I really didn't get a whole lot done. I got what, maybe half of an inch. So it's coming along, but it's gonna go into hiatus this summer unless I have a need for a specific quick or not quick, simple project to take with me. But here is, I don't think I've talked about the yarn in a while. So there's my yarn, and the pattern or the yarn is from my Yarnables subscription box by Hypnotic Yarns, and the colorway is Love is Love. It was the February 2024 colorway. It's their plush sock, which is an 85-15 superwash merino and nylon blend. So this is where I'm at, Musselburgh. If you have been living under a rock and have not seen the Musselburgh, this is a hat where it kind of looks like a big bean-shaped object. And once you have your tube, you're going to take one end, and this will get stuffed up inside so that you have a double thick hat. And I'm making mine long enough that not only can I have it double thick, but I will be able to roll and have a rolled brim or a folded brim. So it'll be 4 layers around my ears. So that's that. And I'm really happy. The colors are really fun. I think they're going to be really great, fun winter colors. Something bright and cheerful when it's kind of gray outside. So that is my Musselburgh. We'll put it in hiatus for the time being. Let's see. Boxy, I didn't really do any work on, so I think we're going to leave that one to the side. I think the last project then I will talk about is my newest one, and it is called Islands in the Stream by Lisa K. Ross. I literally just barely got it started yesterday. But I did wind all of the yarn. This is yarn, if I can find my tags. Here they are. The yarn is by Dirty Water Dye Works. Here's my main color. And it is Dirty Water Dye Works. And this is her Lillian base. It is March Sky is the color name. It is 100% superwash merino. And then the blues are a Lillian Gradient Bundle, and Moon Shadow is the bundle. And I will see if I can pull out some of the blues. So there's, actually, I have a paper. There we go. Let me show you this instead so you can see the range of blues. And I did weigh each of the little skeins. I like to weigh all of my yarn before I start knitting with it, so that way I know exactly how much it weighed before, so I know how much I've used up. Because a lot of times, even though it's a 100-gram skein, for instance, you might have anywhere from 100.08 to, I've had over 110 grams, I want to say, or 108, 109 grams in a 100-gram skein. Which makes a big difference, to know exactly how much yarn any given project used, but then it's also helpful to know exactly how much you have left, so that if you want to put the leftovers into something, you have a much better sense of whether you have enough yarn to complete that project with the yarn that is left over. So this yarn by Dirty Water Dye Works, I purchased in February of 2017. So again, this is another deeper, not quite as deep stash as my bamboo, but deeper stash yarn that I'm also using up. So I'm kind of excited to get that worked up and used up. It's something that I've been wanting to really do and use for a couple of years now, and I finally, when the Islands in the Stream popped up, I knew it was going to be the perfect project for it. It's not going to use all of the yarn. That said, when I was looking at the pattern more closely, it's really written for 6 gradients, a 6 gradient bundle, and I only have 5. But I think it's going to be okay if I'm looking at it. I think if I just omit the last color, it'll just be a little bit smaller. So I'm pretty sure that'll work out just fine. That's my plan at this point. I mean, I suppose if I wanted to do something a little different in that last section that is supposed to be represented by the 6th color, I could maybe use a little bit of each of the 5 colors. That would be another possibility, but right now my plan is just to omit that last section, and I think I'll be okay. But in addition, the pattern was written for 6 20-gram minis, and these are 30-gram minis or 37-gram minis. So yeah, so these minis are bigger than even what the pattern calls for. So I'm probably gonna have a fair amount left. What I'll do with it, I don't know, but I will at least have done a project with it, and I'll feel pretty good about that. Today's knitting fact is another one that I found from, no, this one came from the knitting space. I was gonna say Fact Finder, that's where most of them have come from. This one came from the knitting space, and it told me, or I found, the first knitting machine was invented in 1589. The man who came up with the idea was named William Lee, and it was under Queen Elizabeth I that this happened. And from that point forward, knitting became a leisure activity, mostly performed by hand inside the home. And I thought that was appropriate as I'm getting ready to head on a vacation and start my summer vacation, which is a nice time of leisure, and I will be filling a lot of that leisure time with knitting. I thought that made for an appropriate fact. Now that said, I've never used a knitting machine. I know that there are sock knitting machines, and I know they're quite expensive actually. I don't know that I really have any strong desire to use a knitting machine. I prefer to keep it by hand with the simplicity of that. Certainly is more portable too, right? If you're using a knitting machine, you're kind of housebound or stuck with wherever the machine is being placed. So can't do it on the bus very well, can ya? At the very least. So that is your knitting fact for this week. I've got quite a bit of this week's day today as we have wrapped up the final week of school. So let's see, Monday, Tuesday. I didn't put a day of the week on this one. Yeah, it was Tuesday, was our field day and step up day. We started the morning, it was a beautiful sunny day too, which was really fantastic. So the teams and the kids were able to go outside and enjoy some activities. I have a picture I can pop in here of some chalk drawing that they were doing on the ground, which is really, really cool. Some really great drawings actually with chalk. I was quite impressed. So we spent the morning doing those kinds of activities. And then about lunchtime, we prepared to transition into step up day activities, and our 8th graders left to go experience some time at the high school, and we welcomed in all of the 6th grade from the different elementary schools in the district up into our building so that they could get a little taste of the middle school. So that was a lot of fun and really busy and hectic and chaotic, but it was great. And then that evening, and we came home, I had a couple of hours, and then I went back to the school because we had our bridge ceremony where we celebrated our 8th grade for the last time. We actually have a bridge that was built by our STEM teacher, and the kids each walked across the bridge and they were welcomed by an administrator from the high school symbolically. So that was kind of a fun, cool little ceremony. So that was on Tuesday. Wednesday was the last day of school. The kids at the middle school, at least, we were done with the kids. They had gone home starting at 10:30. So by 11, it was really quiet in the building. Got some work done and packed up my office. I have to make sure that all of the surfaces are cleared off, and anything that is really loose needs to be kind of tucked away because everything gets pulled out of my office. File cabinet, bookcases, my desk, like they're gonna wax and clean the floors really well. So I had to make sure that things were really well settled and taken care of. There are things that I choose to bring home with me that I don't leave in my office over the summer, so that way it doesn't get misplaced. I have a sand tray that I brought home. I didn't trust that to get moved around without dumping sand all over the place. Another decoration that is very special to me that I didn't want broken. Things like that I bring home with me. So I had to make sure all of that was taken care of and put away. And then we came home, and that night we had actually what was confirmed to be a microburst. And it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I guess. And the sky got really, really dark. And then it started the heavens opened, and it just poured, absolutely poured. And thunder, we had some really, really close thunder strikes or lightning strikes with the thunder immediately after, really, really loud and big. I guess is the best way to describe it. My dogs were both totally freaking out. I don't like thunder at all. And then after 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. It passed, and about the point that it was passing, we lost power. We're like, oh, okay. So we had plans that night to take my nephew out. His birthday was a few weeks ago, and we wanted to take him out for his birthday meal. So we left. At that point, it was shortly before 5. We're like, well, I might as well go get him because there's no power anyway. So let's go. So he and his family live about a quarter of a mile down the road from me, closer into town, or one direction. And as we were leaving our driveway, and we're heading, and it's a straight walk between his house and our house and their house. And we could see in the distance that there was a whole bunch of rescue vehicles down the street. We're like, oh, gee, that might be why we're missing power. So we went in, we picked up my nephew, and they didn't have power either, clearly. And we were starting to, and the road was actually, another road to the left of us as we passed was also blocked off. We could see that there was emergency vehicles there too. We're like, oh, and we could see a wire was down. So we left and we started to drive down the street, and we're looking around like, wow, there's some big trees that are like big trees that were down. We couldn't go all the way through, which is ultimately where we needed to go. So we kind of did like a U, took a right, went down a little, and then took a left to come back further down. And as we looked back, we could see on the other side of the emergency vehicles, we could see this massive tree that was down that they were trying to take care of. And then we're continuing down the road, and I'm looking around, I'm like, there's this white stuff all over the ground. And the first thing that popped in my mind was like foam, like, because there was a fire truck. So I had that fresh in my mind, like fireman's foam. I'm like, why is there foam all over everybody's lawns? And then it occurred to me, that wasn't foam, that was hail. There was like literal piles. It looked like soap bubbles in a way, like literal piles of hail. Like we didn't get a single bit of hail. And then we're not even quite a mile from my house at this point. It was the most bizarre thing. So then we headed out, we took my nephew to dinner, took him shopping, and then as we're coming back through, we took a slightly different route, and again, we're at this point not far from my nephew's house and maybe half a mile from my house, and it was again a massive tree down, pulling the power lines down. Like, oh, we're not getting power anytime soon. So sure enough, it was like 10 o'clock at night when the power finally came back on. But it was just, and it was confirmed to be a microburst, but it was just the most bizarre thing. And we must have been just on the edge of it at my house, because we heard all the thunder, we had the heavy rain, but the wind didn't really catch our attention. It was windy-ish, but no more than any other summer storm that we've had. So, but just a little bit further down, we saw trees on the tops of houses, like crazy. So that was our excitement on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we had our last staff day at school. We had a staff barbecue for lunch. My principal did all the barbecuing. PTO paid for the meats and things, and he barbecued, and burgers and hot dogs. And then staff, we did a potluck style with salads and drinks and chips and desserts and excuse me. And it was a great way to end this school year. And then one of the staff members always invites everybody over to her house for nachos after we get out of school. So we went over there after and continued kind of celebrating the end of the school year together. And then I came home and prepared to start my vacation. Yesterday was my first day off, and I did a lot of knitting, and I prepared for our vacation next week. Got all of my yarn wound and set aside. I started a vlog, so you guys can watch for that when I come home, and I have some footage that I will be putting into that and showing you how I selected my projects and which projects I'm bringing and all of that. So that pretty much, I think, covers a very busy and eventful week. We leave again first thing tomorrow morning at 6:30. The bus leaves Portland, and we'll be spending the week next week in New York City with my daughter. I'm very much looking forward to that. So with that, I thank you so very much for tuning in. I should have said this at the beginning. Thank you. If this is your first time listening, thank you for joining me. And if you've been listening all along, I thank you again for coming back. You can find all of the information on the projects that I have talked about in the show notes below. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like the video and consider subscribing so that way you will remain updated whenever I update things. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Knittin, K-N-I-T-T-I-N, Michelle, Michelle, M-I-C-H-E-L-L-E. Or you can certainly send me an email at michellesfiberstudio@gmail.com. With that, I hope you have a wonderful week next week and happy knitting.